Megan Monique here. I am here with Lisa Carmen, and we're going to be talking about miracles today, one of my favorite topics. Lisa, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Megan. Thanks for inviting me. It's one of my favorite topics, too. I'm excited about this conversation. I've been working with women and creating opportunities for women to live their most miraculous lives and their most magical lives for about I guess I did the math recently, about 13 years here in Dallas. So I've been holding women's circles, and the most recent incarnation of this work is Sacred Sexy You. And for me, Sacred Sexy You is about uniting and healing the facets of a woman, bringing them all together. We don't have to have our sexuality over here and our spirituality over here, where they never, they're complete opposites. Just kind of bringing it all together and initiating that conversation for women. But what is it going to take me to be as happy and joyful as I possibly can be? What is my life? What do I want my life to look like? What's going to bring me the most joy? So that's what I do. Workshops, retreats, the burlesque experience.
That's wonderful. Cool.
Yeah.
You didn't say this, but you can find Lisa at sacredsexyu.com.
Yes.
So be sure to check her out after you get done watching our interview today. Okay, so my first question for you is, well, let me start off by saying, how did I even get on the topic of miracles? I decided to finally buy A Course in Miracles, and I did so because for the first 13 weeks of my pregnancy, I lost my creativity and my inspiration for the first time I can actually remember, and I felt like I had lost it for good. But writing is my main outlet, and I couldn't even bring myself to write. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm not generating inspiration within me, then I need some kind of outside source to give it to me. And A Course in Miracles has provided so much inspiration for so many people, like Marianne Williamson and Gabrielle Bernstein, that I was like, okay, I can't go wrong here. So I went and got the book, and I've seriously only read the first chapter so far, and it's been the launching pad for my new website, Miracle Readiness. And it got me thinking, because reading A Course in Miracles, or just the first chapter, has restructured and defined how I view what miracles are, and it got me curious what other people see miracles as, because there is a mainstream definition of what a miracle is. Something tragic happens and we're in the hospital and we're praying for a miracle for someone to survive, or we're having trouble paying a bill and we're praying for a miracle to happen so the bill gets paid. But I really believe that the miracles are all around us all the time, and we've just become kind of numb to their presence, or numb to the definition of what shape they take or actually are in our lives. So my first question for you is, how do you define what a miracle is?
Well, I think I think of them as a little bit of both. I think sometimes miracles are very dramatic, and sometimes you are pulled from the brink of death. And sometimes you find a little piece of paper on the ground with one little word on it. I think I've told you about my walking miracles. I'll ask for a sign, a miracle, and I look, and there's a card on the ground, a tarot card on the sidewalk. So it can be very minute. But miracles are everywhere. Albert Einstein said that there's two ways to exist. One is if everything is a miracle, and the other is if nothing is a miracle. And I like to think that everything is a miracle. I do know that in my life, when I was 13 years old, I had a very, very big miracle that I think sort of changed the trajectory of my life. Well, not sort of, it did. Because I was 13 and determined to die. And, I was going through a lot of traumatic experiences all at once, and it was really much more than my little 13-year-old emotional body could take, and I wasn't being supported or finding, adult care the way that I needed at that time. So the only out I could see was death. And by a series of, I think of it kind of like as just one big miracle, the fact that I didn't die. And then within that miracle, there were 10 little tiny miracles, like one little pill that I dropped when I was overdosing, the doctor said later if I would have taken one more of those
Wow.
particular pills, I probably would have died. All of these little tiny itty bitty miracles that made the big miracle that I woke up still alive, to my surprise and initial disappointment. And then suddenly I realized my life was a miracle. Like at that moment at 13, and I've never felt that level of despair again, because I knew that every moment that I was here was a miracle, and that I was here for a reason, and I better figure out, what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. So so that was my big miracle. But then, life is full of miracles. They're everywhere. But I really think having an awareness and an openness is key. Instead of us deciding what it needs to look like, and you and I have talked about that before, how openness to, we got these little tiny people brains, and there's this big, giant, beautiful mind that can see and understand so much more than we can, so being open to a range of possibilities.
Yeah, I definitely, the general consensus I've been getting from these interviews, and from my own thoughts is that the existence of a miracle, its definition, is determined by our experience of it, not necessarily the events that take place. So if it's all about, if whether or not a miracle exists is determined by how we experience something, then each moment in our day has the possibility to be a miracle.
Absolutely.
Because we choose how to experience things.
Absolutely. And sometimes a miracle is as subtle as acceptance. Just accepting something that you've been resisting for a long time. Maybe something's not the way you want it to be in a certain relationship or whatever. And one day you realize, it is what it is, and I accept it. That's as big of, I think in Course in Miracles, they say that in God's eyes, there's no big miracle and little miracle. A miracle is a miracle, and so just sometimes a little shift in consciousness is a miracle, or forgiveness. You find it in your heart to forgive someone who wounded you. That is a miracle just as big as me surviving at death's door, So I think appreciating the grandness of even the tiniest of miracles is important, and attracts more miracles.
Definitely. So I'm wondering, for all the people who are watching and listening, if you had to give them one snippet of advice for awakening to the presence of miracles in their life, what would that be?
Ask for your miracle, and then let it show up in whatever way it wants to show up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Being open to the, not coming towards a miracle with your little tiny human brain, but being open to a million possibilities. And instead of saying, I want, being open to the feeling that you want or the solution that you want, but being open to its delivery, and I think is really important.
Yeah, we do. I think we have a tendency to label and compartmentalize. So if in our mind we're asking for a miracle, and we have the idea that it's going to show up this way at this time on this day in this suit, and it shows up in a different suit, smelling different, looking different, walking different, whatever.
Yeah.
That we're like, oh no, that's not my miracle.
Yeah.
When in reality, if you just allow yourself to receive it, it's very possible that is your miracle. In a
very much so. Can I say one more thing about
Yes,
that too? I think that it's fun to play with miracles. Kind of to make to approach them with a curiosity and a playfulness. Like when I told you, when I go for my walks, and sometimes I'm in a kind of a darker or dull place, or I'm needing some spiritual nurturance. I'll just say, okay, God, I want a miracle. I want a message. Just, give me something, and kind of as a little game, an invitation, and boom, something will show up. I think as you are walking down the street, or okay, today I want to meet somebody who's going to be a player in the next step of my life, whatever that step may be. I don't know. I feel lost. I have no direction. Okay, who is it? So then everyone you approach has the potential to provide a miracle for you. And everyone that you come in contact with is potential bearer of a miracle, you know. So I think playfully approaching miracles is fun too. And then your confidence grows, that muscle to receive grows, you know, and you just know that they're abounding, they're everywhere. There's no shortage of possibilities.
Yeah, I really love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing. So we're going to cut it short. I really appreciate you being with me here today, Lisa.
Sure, thank you. Thanks, Megan. Anytime.
And again, you can check out Lisa Carmen at sacredsexyu.com, and I will see you next week. Thanks.
Bye.
Curious what other people see.